Greetings shippers, welcome back, and it's time for another episode of Fic Rec Friday, except this week it's Fan Rec Friday. Thanks so much to Lucy Harvey for suggesting that title. I love it, I'm using it, it really rolled off the tongue, I like it. Also, you quoted Jupiter Ascending, which is always fantastic. This week it's all about Fics Recced by you guys. If you're in these comment sections, you'll see tons of Fics Recced, and also some of you email me, which I really appreciate, so I wanted to highlight some of you who've been emailing me, leaving recs, and just I really appreciate it, and it's so fun because exchanging fics can be sometimes a bit of a personal experience in the sense that not everybody is comfortable sharing their fandom, or they don't have people necessarily to share it with who wouldn't find it odd. So it is very fun to have a space to share and also to come in contact with fics and fandoms that you may not otherwise have gone into or taken the time to check out. Enthusiasm aside, before we get started, we of course have to do our disclaimer. There will, as always, be many different types of fics recced on this show, from the dark to rival ships to overplayed tropes to just anything that one can think of. So it must be reiterated that this is not a bashing space. If a fic doesn't look like it will be for you, well then hopefully one of the others will, or one of the many recs left down below. There is no need to seek out writer, reader, wrecker for any harassment. Different strokes for different folks. Fandom can be fundom, but we do need to work to keep it that way. As always, quick lickety split, and we have many recs to get to. I tried to keep them varied, but some of you know what I like, and you emailed me what I like, and like a moth to a flame, I was drawn. The first fic comes to us from Vendi Krobova, and they're taking us to a fandom that we haven't talked about before on this channel. We're going to be going to Downton Abbey. Now, Downton Abbey is quite a popular show and fandom within its own right, although it does not always cross so much with the more genre type shows that we cover, despite being heavily a genre show itself. It is simply a historical period piece about the struggles of upper and lower classes in the shifting political and social landscapes of early England pre and post World War I. It's something that sounds like it should have a niche audience, but actually has a very wide appeal. Historical fiction is a juggernaut of a genre, and this show also had its fair share of fandom content, including a healthy shipping culture. Most of the ships revolved around the character of Thomas. Thomas was one of the workers in the undersection of the home. He also happened to be a queer character on the show, and a very nuanced character which many people appreciated. Thomas could be abrasive, he could be kind, he could be very cruel, but all in all, he was always interesting, and his plots could be quite compelling, though some found certain arcs problematic. As a result, many viewers ended up feeling for him, even when he was being utterly awful. They especially ended up feeling for him when it looked like potentially he was going to have some romance. Thomas's first romance on the show did not work out as he intended, nor did his second, but it did transition into a lovely friendship, although that couple was still the dominant pairing for Thomas, which means of course this fic is not for them. This fic is between Thomas and Andy, a new worker who arrives in the home in later seasons who people hoped could potentially finally be love for Thomas. Spoilers, that did not end up occurring, which is why one has fandom. This fic is called Serendipity by Dancing Satyr. 3 chapters, word count 7,454. This is a first time getting together fic, slow burn, eventual smut. It involves these two getting to know each other, and Thomas finally starting to believe that he can have a true companion in this household, and that maybe for once, something can work out for him. It is very much in keeping with the tone of the series, the period piece-ness of it, the character focus of it. It just feels like something that could have happened on the show, and something that many people wouldn't have minded happening. And he's not Jimmy, but it would have been nice to see Thomas happy. His arcs just got darker and darker and darker as it went on. He also got more and more redeemed, which led many people to have a lot better opinion of him than they may have at the start. This fic is part 1 of a series, the Serendipity series, but it is only a 2-part series. The second part is called Cuts and Bruises and is 2 chapters, word count 4,961. And it very much continues on these two's adventures, but as a couple. So you get 2 nice pieces, the Genesis and then the Together. plus Wump in the second part. If you haven't checked this fandom out, you don't really need a lot of background knowledge about the series to dive in, although it is helpful because it does reference other characters, so you may be a bit lost as to who everybody is, but in terms of what's going on, it's easy to follow. And as it goes on, you pick up who the other people are. If it intrigues you and you haven't checked out the series, it is very much a good example of what you could be in for, so it may lead you to wanting to check out Downton Abbey. Fic 2. Fic 2 was almost something else. Fic 2 was wrecked by Catriona McCormick. comic. And they sent me many fics, 2 separate emails. In fact, the first email contained the fic I almost went with. It was a Hamilton fic. But then the second email came through, and it had this Cherrick fic in it that was so immensely fascinating that I knew that it was the rec that I had to give. This fic is called The Proper Care of Actors, and it is by 4 authors: Afro Curl, Clear Liqueur, Clocks, and Etheri. It is 17 chapters, word count 295,223. It has also been translated into multiple languages. This fic is popular, intricate, and planned out. It is 4 authors collaborating, researching to bring this story together. So what is it? This story is an Actorverse AU, wherein all of the characters, the X-Men characters, are actors. And what is playing out is your typical snobbish actor trope, played of course by Eric, falling for rom-com darling Charles. The thing that makes this fic so interesting is that it's near RPF, or it's a way to subvert the RPF and not have to work with the actual actors and instead be able to work with the characters by turning the characters into actors and taking some of the real world occurrences, interviews and the like, and reworking them onto the characters so that one can have this RPF style experience without the potential discomfort that many feel surrounding RPF. RPF, for those who don't know, being real person fics, a contentious point among many shippers, despite being quite a large part of fandom itself. We've discussed some of the history along with what people like about RPF and what makes them uncomfortable when we did our Septiplier video, so if you missed that, check it out. You can click the card or the link will be down below. This fic melds the concept of RPF with a fictional world so seamlessly and brings in these moments that if you were following the press tour and these actors and were interested in all of the minutiae surrounding the newer X-Men franchise, you'll see some of that in there, and also cameos from other celebrities, although they do of course have disclaimers that everything is supposed to be fictionalized and taken with, of course, a grain of salt. But because of that, it's a very fun reading experience and happening with the X-Men characters. This fic also comes with a heavy smut warning, much smut. Of course, this is full on AU. So if what you like about these two is in part their mutant abilities and that part of the world and their struggle and their different philosophies, then that's something you're not going to get here. So for some, this may be a bit too far removed. It also still uses standard Cherrick tags, so you will get tags such as Eric is smitten, and a tag that arose particularly after First Class, which is Slutty Drunk Charles. The Cherrick fandom actually has some very entertaining tags if one just ever takes the time to go through and read the tags on fics. The Detroit Become Human fandom also has humorous tags. Does anybody else ever just read tags to see what they are? Let me know if you do down below. This fic is part of a series, but the second part is not as yet complete. If you go to the link, you'll be able to continue on in the Actorverse should you so choose. The next fic is from B. Brewers, who specifically sent it because they know that I enjoy Klex. Smallville was one of my younger fandoms, and I do have a soft spot for many of the pairings and fics that arose from it, and working it into the comic verse as well, a melding of different canons. As a result, they sent me a fic that they were pretty sure I would not have seen because the author employs no tags. Not pairing tags, not character tags, no tags at all. So indeed, this was a fic I had not read, and I'm so glad that B sent it over because it's really interesting and unique. This fic is called Conflicts of Interest by Rage Proof Rock. 1 chapter, word count 54,768. It is part 1 of the series Conflicts of Interest. This series is a kid fic in that it is written from a child's point of view, that being a 9-year-old Connor who was found as a baby by Lex and raised by him largely in secret. This is a fusion of the Smallville and comics canon. This is the Connor from the pre-New 52 canon, in that he is a combination of the DNA of Lex and Clark. This fic fuses that with Clark and Lex's history from Smallville, of course adding a secret romantic element to that history. Lex in this fic has very much begun to turn his life around and has pretty much given up supervillainy, and Superman/Clark cannot figure out why. That is until he meets Connor, and there's something about Connor he just can't place, because Lex has kept this a complete secret. This fic is from Connor's point of view as he watches Lex, Clark, Lois, and Superman all interact and try and figure out what exactly is going on. What is the secret? Who is he? It has a very true to tone depiction of a child that is not obnoxious, but still has that naivete that most children possess. The fic also involves OCs, but they work well within the plot and there's a reason for them to be there, and they don't pull focus, so they're very well executed OCs. Though of course if one doesn't care for OCs at all, then that may be something that may put them off this fic. Lex and Clark are very much in Smallville tone, a titch OC at times, but not to the point where it takes away from what the fic is trying to accomplish, which is very much this sense of curiosity and discovery of a child trying to solve a mystery. So if all of that sounds like something you'd be interested in, this is definitely a fic to check out. A couple of years later, the author wrote part 2. Part 2 being Visiting Hours. 4 chapters, word count 83,066. This fic deals with Clark and Lex getting back together, and also Connor learning even more about Clark than he figured out in the first fic. This one brings the OC in even more, as it is a romance also between Connor and aforementioned OC. The first fic is definitely my favorite of this series, but the second one has its charms too. There is a third part which is a drabble at 271 words called Parenting is Thankless. This is a future fic that deals with Connor and the OC. The next rec, I promise, is the last one from a superhero fandom, kinda, you'll see. This fic comes to us from a longtime viewer, Grimjow Lover 123. They asked if they could rec their own fics, which I enthusiastically agreed to, because there's nothing wrong with sharing one's own fics. Sometimes as creators there's a bit of a shame that builds up about sharing one's own material, as if it's arrogant or unwarranted, or perhaps just a shyness at putting oneself out there like that. But if one is pleased with their work, there's absolutely nothing wrong with sharing it around and hoping that people see it and enjoy it. So please, if anybody has been holding back from wrecking their own fics, don't hold back. Send all the fics. All fics welcome here. Grim is also constantly writing fics. Whenever we're doing a live stream, Grim is always writing a fic. Of the fics they wrecked, I was actually initially going to do one of the longer form fics that brought in all of the Bat family, Dick Grayson, Wump, all kinds of elements that were very well integrated and just made for a very fun dark fic. However, that was before I saw the fic that I'm about to wreck. This fic is called Hero by Artist at Heart 1. It is 1 chapter, word count 1,170. This is a young Dick Grayson fic, wherein Dick has just started being Robin and he learns that Batman knows Superman and he wants to meet him, needs to meet him. Batman, of course, is reluctant, but agrees. So it's along the lines of being a Bat Dad fic, but also a first time that Dick encounters Superman, which for old comic canon at least was very relevant, as Dick and Clark had a very, very close relationship, culminating in Superman being the one to give Dick his new superhero name of Nightwing. The reason I wrecked this fic is not only because it is adorable and just a very cute small slice of life that brings some warmth and levity to the sometimes more dour Batverse, but I'd read this fic before. This fic was a fic that I had read before and saved before. It was just a very serendipitous, to borrow a word from earlier in this video, moment. So I wanted to share the fic with you because it is one that I've read multiple times. Next up, we're going to leave superheroes behind. They're over there now. And over there, as Superman knows, should look after itself. Little grounded joke for you, for those who are up on your older comic canon. This fic comes to us from Luna Malfoy 7, and it is a Naruto fic. She wrecked this for Anime Week, but I could not wait once I read it. For those who do not know, Luna was recently involved in a huge Naruto rewatch. Just all of Naruto. Of course, if one ends up enjoying the series, it is very hard not to dive into fandom. So of course, the next question is it Narusasu? Is it Sasunaru? Or is it neither one of those things? This fic is called The Bingo Book by Flailing Love. 10 chapters, word count 64,800. It is a Kakairu pairing. That's right, the adults. This fic takes a look at 2 of the students' teachers, what they're doing with their life, their struggles, and also involves the tropes of revenge and a misunderstanding. Actually, a misunderstanding that leads to revenge and getting together. It involves Kakashi being attacked and then later being called up because at the attack, they found a book. And inside the book, it claims that he has another teacher as his lover, that being Iruka. The only problem? They're not lovers. In fact, they barely know each other and have rarely spoken. And yet, in this book, that's what it says, and so it's what his enemies now believe. As a result, he now needs to protect Iruka along with himself and try and understand exactly how this misunderstanding came about, while also falling in love. This fic is very much for those who are involved in a fandom that focuses on students or young people and finds themselves asking, but what are the adults doing? Harry Potter, Naruto, My Hero Academia, all of those could leave you asking that question, and this fic definitely answers that. This fic sucks you in. It's one of those that is so immersive that you feel like you're seeing it happen. You have to remind yourself that no, it didn't, but perhaps you wish it did. This pairing is a smaller one within the Naruto fandom, but still has a firm shipping base. So if you hadn't thought about this pairing before and this fic intrigues you and you want to know more, there is more out there for you to find. So yes, anime recs. The last fic I'm going to rec today is a fem/fic, and it is going to take us over to a fandom that we have discussed before. That is Kim Possible. And it's going to take us over to the pairing of Kigo, which actually is one of the dominant pairings. If you missed our video on Kigo, you can of course click the card or the link will be down below. This fic is called Alone Together by Phalite200. It is 17 chapters, word count 107,883. This fic is an interdimensional getting together fic, wherein Kim Possible and Kigo find themselves trapped in an alternate dimension. Suddenly, the two have to put all their differences aside and work together, which of course leads to them getting to know each other a little better and finding out just exactly what is going on underneath all of that banter and anger. The intradimensional trope is a popular one for the getting together fic. This is because it is a way to remove the rest of the universe, making it so that the usual obstacles are no longer in play, so that the relationship can develop in this sort of plot bubble, and then the questions about how other people react or any objections or any canon concerns can be addressed after. And this fic does this so well because the interdimensional element is so well portrayed. So it doesn't feel like it's simply a mechanism to get these two together. It feels like these two's relationship evolves along with the story. This fic is also extremely well formatted, that being the sections and paragraphs are just very well broken up. Formatting is one of those things that often goes unnoticed, but really comes to the forefront if it is either really bad or very good. Thankfully, this is an example of the very good. It makes this fic incredibly easy to read, access, and just get into. The characters are in tone, and like the fic before it, it feels like something that you could actually see happening. It also does a very good job utilizing the slang that is put forth in the series in a way that feels organic and not unnatural. So if you need some more fem/slash in your life, check it out. I hope that you enjoy all of those recs from your fellow fans. Everybody has a different experience or location or just knowledge of what fics are out there. So it's really fun to share all of that together in one place and see exactly what fics come out of it. I am, as ever, a fanfic enthusiast. Next week, we'll be back again and we'll see what we're doing. Theme week, regular week, you'll see. There are, as always, more videos coming soon and another fic rec coming next week. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I most certainly did, and we will be doing more of these in the future. Gotta stop sending me so many super fics. You know I can't resist. I will see you all again soon, and until next time, let's get to the outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.